It represents the tolerance of placement of the ideal. So what do I mean by that? The dead center of the ring would be the perfect site. Now, as you get further away from the ring, it starts to degrade in that level of performance, right? So based on all of the various analyses, including coverage, that ring represents a tolerance of approaching perfect in the middle of it. And with that,
thank you, Jim. One final point that I'd like to just touch on, and I know Dan has gone through it with you, I'm sure, is that the Telecommunications Act says that as you make your decision, like the P&Z make their decision, a consideration of the environmental effects of radio frequency cannot play into that because it's regulated. But I do like I gave and discussed and presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I do like to just point out some of the national and international organizations that have constantly reviewed this issue. Are there any effects from radio frequency emission? We have the World Health Organization, we're all familiar with them. They have come up with, there's no convincing scientific evidence that the weak RF signals from base stations, that's the equivalent in wireless networks, cause adverse health risks. This is one that I've mentioned. It's a 2016 article, but I mentioned it for a couple of reasons. We're all familiar with Johns Hopkins University, one of the preeminent medical facilities in the world. This gentleman happened to be not only on the staff, but he was the telecom secretary now of India and the former health communications specialist with Johns Hopkins. And he states that cell towers emit less radiation than sunlight and are absolutely safe. Finally, I'm sure many of us have looked at the websites for the American Cancer Society and the USDA, and they have concluded that most scientists agree that cell phone antennas or towers are unlikely to cause cancer, and there's no health risk due to radio frequency energy. Mayor, members of the council, the city attorney, city secretary, we appreciate the time you've given to us. We appreciate the time Planning and Zoning Commission gave to us. We appreciate their recommendation. We believe that we comply with your ordinance, the GB district. We have presented to you what we believe is the best possible application for the approval of the specific use permit. We also believe that we comply with the Telecommunications Act. As Vince has shown you, the process we went through to find that this is the only available site within the search range to resolve the issue of the gap. Jim has done an excellent job in detailing the process that they went through to create the zone, the search ring, and how and why this gap occurs. In addition, there's under the September 27, 2018 declaratory ruling, report and order of the FCC. We believe that Jim's testimony to you under that new order states that a denial of the application will materially inhibit AT&T's ability to provide wireless service. So we look forward to your questions. We appreciate the opportunity. We look forward to the questions and answers from your community members. Thank you again. We can either leave this on or turn it off. At the P&Z, people want to see specific slides. So, oh, I see Mr. James wants it up, so we'll go ahead and leave that.
I think we will have the citizens' input. We have 8 folks who have signed up to speak. And then after that, we will open it up to questions. So you have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes.
Why 3 minutes?
Because we have.
They had more than 3 minutes each.
28 minutes. 27 minutes. 27
Because
minutes.
it took everyone.
Did they sign up to speak?
They came to present so that people would know what we were talking about tonight.
That's the question.
So, Tanya,
I'm yielding my time to Jesse James.
okay. Morgan Montez?
Hello, my name is Morgan Montez, and these are my children. Ryan and Liam, and Benjamin was the curly top baby causing the commotion. Ryan is 9, and she is a 4th grader here in Poth. She's a fantastic athlete and student. Liam is 7, and a 2nd grader here. He's the kindest boy and the best dancer. He's got the moves like Jagger. And Benjamin just turned 2. He is our Sour Patch Kid, and he generally thinks he's a cat and answers most questions with meow. My point for telling you about my children is because these are the ones that will be affected by the decisions made here tonight. As their mother, God has entrusted me to steward, shepherd, and protect them. I sat here last week, planning and zoning meeting, and listened to the gentleman here, the city attorney, Mr. Bitberg, some of them saying that the planning and zoning committee could not make a decision based off of health. It shocked me. The gentleman from the tower company put up a quote from the American Cancer Society saying that the radiation from the tower was unlikely to cause cancer problems. Unlikely being the key word. I don't know if you guys have seen the AT&T commercial. There's several of them. There's a man laying in a hospital bed, his wife is standing right next to him, and they're asking the nurse, how is the surgeon? And she says, he's okay. And then it flashes to AT&T saying, just okay is not okay. Well, unlikely is not okay for me. So I decided to do my own research. I found lots of research for both sides. World Health Organization, American Cancer Society. Honestly, you can find whatever you're looking for, whatever you put in your Google search, you can find reasons for both. I also found in my research that it takes the FDA 12 years and $350 million from start to finish for a drug to come, for them to start going through it, for it to hit the shelves. They have the highest skilled chemists, biologists, and scientists repeatedly testing drugs until they are sure that they are safe. However, a few years later, they pull them off the shelves saying that they have caused harm. Anybody here take Zantac? Anything like that? So the truth is there's always a chance. When we bring our babies home from the hospital, they say, be careful. You've got a soft head, a soft spot. It's not going to close up till they're about 18 months old. These children and other children have thin skulls that can absorb roughly 10-fold higher local dose than the skull of an adult male. So the pediatric population are most vulnerable to RFR exposure. My point is there's always a chance. So why do other people have a say, have a chance to chance my children's health? Yesterday, we saw a horrifying accident on the news involving Kobe Bryant. None of us knew him, but we all put ourselves in his wife and children's position. I cried. My children cried. It's awful. We would never want to feel that kind of pain. So I ask you to put yourselves in my shoes and imagine someone being okay with chancing your child's health. I hope that whatever decision that you make tonight, you can sleep at night. Because if this tower goes up, myself and so many others here close to the tower will lie awake wondering when our children will have enough exposure to sicken their little bodies. It's really not fair. Do the right thing, and let's move this tower outside of our city limit, away from our homes. Thank you.
Becky Teagan?
I yield my time to Jesse and James.
Sandra, go ahead.
I'm yielding my time to Warren.
Randy Gorzel.
I'm here, but I'll use it for Warren.
Jesse? James? So you have 10 minutes.
I'm gonna cut it, then I'll come back. Is that okay? I'll talk for 6, and then I'll come back for the other 4. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Don't laugh. I'm gonna go to a few points right away. The safety. Sabre Industries stamps that stamp and says that that tower will fail within itself. However, the gentleman that represents, I can't remember his name, told me in the meet and greet in Circle G on January 15th that they will fall where the wind blows. So, failure of the tower is a huge concern when currently it sits very close to multiple structures down there that are next to residents. Even if they have a repair person up there and they fall, it can land in the person's backyard. What if your child is playing in that backyard and that should happen? What if they drop a wrench? What if they drop a bolt? Have you ever seen anything drop from 250 feet straight down and it hit a piece of web metal and ricochet? You never know where it's going to go or what it's going to do. Currently, y'all have the zoning and planning has a 200-foot notification for up to 200 foot only. The tower itself is currently 267 feet to the top of the antenna. So the people that weren't even notified don't even know anything about this. It's a strange map. There's numerous things that they've talked about the tower. There is a generator that's going to be put in here. It's diesel. The fumes from the generator running is ungodly over a period of time. I don't care how clean you make them. I own a diesel truck, I know. They mentioned, they asked number 11 on the site, why couldn't he rezone his land to commercial? Take the proper steps, rezone it from residential to commercial, put the tower there. He's already offered his land. There are over 5 different people that have offered their land to the city, to me, to tell you guys that they are willing to put that into play. He is not here tonight, but the RF engineer that was here last Wednesday and at the meet and greet told us, I don't even know the word to say, because it's his job, is what he said. If that tree was relocated quarter mile, 2 miles, whatever it may be, it is his job to find optimal service, and he would. It wasn't recorded last week, so I don't know if that got in the notes. I'm going to jump around here. I'm going to go to distance. I need your help, Warren. Currently, I want people to visualize this. That's why we're going to set up a little bit of a display. I would like you to envision pull it to the last yellow one. Tanya, pull the last yellow one. Okay. In this corner right here, the first yellow orange string represents from Mr. Bontour, which is off of Sylvester, the electrical panel that will be sitting that is ungodly 20 by 15. I don't know the exact heights. The next one Warren is holding is 26 feet to his property line from the edge of the tower. The one further back is 32 feet to his back door. That's how close this tower is to one property down there. And it's just as close to others. This distance from right here to the first ribbon represents 16 feet, which is also the distance from the south side of the tower footing to Mr. Fleer's property. The one all the way in the back represents a little bit further, 36 feet to the property to the east. It might not seem like a lot this way, but I don't have 250 foot of string to go up and show you how tall 250 foot is. But I do have a slight hand-drawn panel because I don't have the technology nor the time to set this up. So this, I'll do it back here. This is an average 6 foot human. Right here, this is a 1/2 inch scale. This is an average single story home, 16 to 18 foot tall. This is an average telephone, 30 to 32 foot tall. This is actually the Poth water tower, it's 126 feet tall. This is 267 feet of tower that is sitting 30 feet from a homeowner back door. What time am I at, Miss Mayor? 5 minutes?
5:45.
All right, I'll stop and come back.
Jeff Collins.
How y'all doing? Thank y'all for taking our time. I'm here to represent my daughters, which is on 118 Sylvester Street, which is next to Jesse's house, which consists of about 136 feet property line, and they had to get back to college. But after going through a lot of stuff and looking around, I don't know if y'all ever drove through Pettis, Texas, or 97 Floresville over there. Well, I don't know if y'all ever noticed all the buzzards on them, or you can call them turkey vultures. Well, we personally went and visited them. It's not a good place to visit. So, I mean, if you within 200 feet from that tower, this is what you're gonna find. There it is. With the turkey vultures, I don't know if you know, is when they get scared or whatever, they burp. They puke, in other words. They puke their stuff out. And that is what's 200 feet away from that tower. And if you do some looking around on it, there's a lot of stuff going on. The vulture droppings and deaths can carry a host of serious disease, including histoplasmosis, encephalitis, salmonella, meningitis, toxoplasmosis, and more. But the smell, if you stop there, in Pettis over there, and I talked to the lady personally, she couldn't make it down today. And what they did over there is they put some stuff up in there to make noise in there. She said it worked for about a month. Her car, she lives across the street, she's probably about 70 feet away. Her car, they have to wash it every other day at least. It gets bombarded with these buzzards. That's how bad it is. And you can just walk with her house. I was like, what's the smell? She goes, it's that. And it smells that bad right there in that little town of Pettis. And if, like I said, if you go over here in the evenings, there's a couple of hundred of them sitting. I think we may even have some pictures of them down the road to show y'all what it's like. But, I mean, at the beginning of this deal, this permit was not issued right. Bottom line. The city, the permit was not issued right. You wouldn't have this room full of people. Like I said, my daughters bought that place, and y'all know how many raccoons and rats was everything, and Jesse bought the other place. Have y'all ever drove by there now and looked at it?
Yes.
And it looks very nice.
Yes, it does.
And if you lived in that house right there, would you want that tower in your backyard? I don't think anybody here would.
Or us that live right on, we're the ones that live behind.
But and all we're asking is for a reasonable solution here. This thing went about the wrong way, because if it would have been pointed right from the beginning, we got a building residential permit for this thing. 2 days it was passed. It took 4 weeks, 2 days to get a driveway permit for that 118 Sylvester Street. I don't know why. that thing can get passed in 2 days. That's questions we got to figure out what's going on in the city council and the offices and everything here. How come this happens? Because we got to do better. But as of right now, if you read Article 9 of your Planning and Zoning Ordinance Business District states the following. This is the City of Poth ordinance right here. No use shall be permitted which is or would reasonably be detrimental to the neighborhood residents or which would interfere with the reasonable use and enjoyment of their property by reasons of emission of dust under construction, smoke, odor, glare, noise, vibration, and trash. Vibration. What do they use to deter them buzzards, and what do they use on these towers to deter these things? I think they use noise signals, is what I'm understanding. And that's one of the things in our own planning and zoning, right there gives you a reason that says no. That's the one right there. So all these people ain't here. How many? I've been to city council how many times? 1, 2 people. Look what's here today. It shouldn't be a hard decision for y'all to make. Like I said, I'm here to represent my daughters. That's their house. And they asked me to come do this for them. So, and they're just asking if y'all, they're young. They graduated from Poth here. One just graduated last year. And she said to the planning and zoning, and I'll give you the letter she wrote right here, Ms. Hickle, and you can read it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Y'all can read that letter and think about it very hard. Because let me tell you one thing. If that thing was by one of the city council members by their house, what would you do? That's you need to vote. Thank y'all for y'all's time. I appreciate it.
Warren James. You have, it's 9, about 10 minutes also.
Okay. I'd like to take 6 of it, okay? Harmonious surroundings and devaluation of properties. I want to touch real quick on a slideshow, page 14 of his slideshow that he put up. General Business District. Purpose of this district is to provide for general commercial uses which serve a citywide or regional area. That's perfect. Except what he didn't put back up here is the rest of your sentence, which says such districts should have frontage on regional thoroughfares such as city collector streets or state and federal highways. Because of the permitted uses, compatibility with adjacent residential areas should be carefully considered. Next sentence of that, under general provisions, this is y'all's, this is on the order. 2.2, no use shall otherwise be permitted which is or would reasonably be detrimental to the neighborhood residents or which would interfere with the reasonable use and enjoyment of their property by reason of the emission of dust, smoke, odor, glare, noise, vibration, trash, junk, water spray, or by any reason, or by reason of any condition which would amount to a public nuisance. I believe the whole buzzard situation is a serious, serious situation. Everyone knows they live right over here in the creek. Everyone who lives here knows they see them, they know they're there. They're gonna migrate. Okay, just wanted to touch on that too. The, back on the harmonious surroundings evaluation. Article 1, Section 3, City Code Zoning Ordinance 121911. Zoning regulation of districts as herein established have been made in accordance with comprehensive plans for the purpose of promoting health, safety, and general welfare of the city. Okay. All that we are doing is asking to do the right thing. We can put a cell tower, it just doesn't need to go where it's at. That's the bottom line. 5G reports. 5G is very new. Lots of studies that show all of the old, I think this information that he had pulled up was 2016 on a couple of the slides. Technology is changing monthly, daily. Just some of our other countries. An appeal has been signed by people from over 200 countries and territories, including more than 7,000 scientists and medical doctors, more than 2,000 environmental organizations. parts of Italy, Switzerland have put a pause to 5G deployment until further research can be conducted because of the issues. I'm not saying they're more advanced than the United States, but I think we do work hand in hand and follow some of that sometimes. April 4th, 2019, just another section of what Sprint was doing. That they had a cell phone tower up at a campus of an elementary school, as it may be linked to several recent cases of childhood cancer. Sprint said the tower is safe, operates well below federal safety limits, but Sprint turned the tower off anyway, and they are going to relocate it. Doing the right thing. Jeff touched on, we've got the failure of the tower, we've got falling of the tower workers, tools or bolts dropping from the tower, ricocheting such materials in the backyard where children play. The 200 foot in the ordinance, I hope that gets changed so that that's effectively covering a neighborhood and the whole neighborhood. We talked about these distance. Tower engineer letter. Our first speaker spoke on the words of highly unlikely and unlikely. I've got the letter here. It says, capacities includes several safety factors. That one was up here, but it was a little blurry and no one could read it. Resulting in an overall minimum safety factor of 25%. 113 miles per hour, 25% safety factor, 141. So they just say, well, therefore it is highly unlikely that the tower will fail structurally in a wind event where the design wind speed is exceeded within a range of built-in safety factors. That's good. Should the wind speed increase beyond the capacity to the point of failure of one or more structural elements, the most likely location of the failure would be within one or more of the tower members in the upper portion. This would result in a buckling failure mode. We don't know where it's going to buckle. We don't know what it's going to do. They're not going to step up and say where it's going to go because they don't know, but they can say most likely. Therefore, it is likely that the overall effect of such an extreme wind event would be localized buckling, assuming that the wind pressure profile is similar to that used to design the tower. I don't think it was designed in Poth. I don't think they're going to step up and ever say that. So I kind of, I'm pretty simple. I went and looked up what the word most likely used. So what's the definition of that? Probably, it will most likely rain tomorrow. Our meeting will most likely start at 7 o'clock. Our meeting started at 7:04. That's how they've covered themselves. I don't think that I would put the community under most likely, me personally. What's the time right now?
5:45.
6? Okay, I'll hold my next 3. 4.
Okay, that's all that we have signed up to speak. So I'd like to open this up to questions, but I'd like it to be very orderly.
Finish.
Still got 4 minutes.
Oh, you want,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna
continue. I'm
take
sorry, I
one.
didn't understand
Just want to take a break.
how you wanted to do that.
Okay, I want to touch back on what Warren was talking about. I don't see on the tower engineer letter, likely, unlikely, it's just a word. I don't see how the city council or the city of Poth would ever in any way, form or fashion could consider even taking a risk of this magnitude. Y'all, this council tonight will vote, or whenever you decide to vote, and if it did fail, and y'all did vote it in, y'all are the ones that voted it in. I'll go back to harmonious surroundings. The lady I talked to yesterday, she mentioned she just bought her house in this neighborhood. It wasn't you, but it was a few neighbors down right here, right there. They were completely unaware that there was a tower in their backyard going up. Maybe, maybe not affect their opinion, but I will tell you this. Out of the 5 streets I visited yesterday, when I planned on covering half this town, I only got 5 streets in. That was Plainview, Sylvester, Farr, Live Oak, and Mackle. Out of every house I knocked a door on, not one person said they wanted this tower. Not one. I had a 90%. Out of the 10% I didn't get, they weren't home or they didn't answer their door. So if that's not telling you something, that's just down there where the tower's at. I turned in over 126 signatures today. 95% of them are from that area. 95% of Plainview does not want this tower. 95% of Sylvester does not want this tower in their backyard. All we're asking you to do is please consider relocating the search ring. Please consider doing the right thing and moving it quarter mile. There's people that have offered their land for free to relocate the search ring, just so that tower wouldn't be hovering over certain people's heads. Sky Towers, Laura mentioned, and they mentioned poor service. We have lived with poor service for I don't know how long. We do know how to deal with it. They told us last Wednesday it would be years if they tabled this to bring it back. We've got another year or two. We've lived with it this long. I stated last week I operate a business with one bar and we do just fine. So if optimal is 4 or 5 and prime is 3, we could probably live with that, because that would be awesome. There's tons of stuff out there against it. Accountability. At the end of the day, we are your constituents. You should be doing right by your constituents. Everybody in this room besides the tower people and their people probably do not want this tower in their backyard or in this town. Where it will sit, it will affect everybody's viewpoint, even if you do not live underneath it. You will see the red flashing lights all night long. Yes, they can install strobe lights to deter the buzzards. They can install water systems. They can install tons of stuff. Did you not hear, or we didn't mention the vomit from the turkey buzzards? It actually is toxic. It will burn your skin. If your children are playing anywhere near that and they touch that railing, they could burn their skin. Where am I, Tim?
Thank you, Jesse. Warren, do you want to finish?
Sure. Where he was going with that buzzard situation, feces located every couple of feet at 200 feet away on the towers that we visited. We went and did some research. We went and kind of pounded the pavement to just see how bad it is, how good it is. Bacteria, fungal agents, and parasites found in turkey vulture droppings and nests can carry a host of serious diseases, including histoplasmosis, I'm not going to pretend to say all the encephalitis, salmonella, meningitis, toxoplasmosis, and more. We touched on the smell. I don't think we need to hammer that home anymore. Everyone knows that. Accumulations of feces, roosting behaviors create health and safety concerns. So back on the harmonious surroundings, the evaluation of properties. In Article 1, I'm just going to read it again. Section 3 of City Codes Ordinance, zoning regulations district as herein established have been made in accordance with the comprehensive plan for the purpose of promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the city. I don't know how else you interpret that whenever you couple that under the general business district, which is, we've had a hard time figuring out where that was going to be under, and I see it stated in our minutes now that it is general business district. Because planning and zoning, we couldn't get that answer last week. We didn't know. You guys weren't here, so you didn't know, but we didn't know that. They didn't know that. What it was being permitted under. Okay. We asked, was it general business? Well, no. Because we asked about a height restriction. Is there a height restriction? They said, well, no, it's a cell tower. But Section 4 of your general business district states right here that it should not exceed 120 foot in height.
That's a building.
It's a building, but it doesn't, there's nothing in here that kicks it out as a cell tower, or you have to show that to me. But I asked for that during the meeting, but they didn't know, we didn't. No use shall otherwise be permitted which is or would reasonably be detrimental to the neighborhood residents. Can't beat a dead horse more. It's very clear to me. I do have one last deal, and this is a contract that was given to one of our residents across the street. Said he was not considered, doesn't know why he wasn't considered, was not given a reason he wasn't considered. Maybe worth looking at one day. So there are other opportunities. I'm good.
Thank you. I just would like to say that the intent and duty of the City Council is, of course, to always do what is the very best interest for the citizens of Poth. When the city discovered an error had been made in the permitting process, we stopped the construction immediately that day. Because the Sky Tower representatives pursued the specific use permit required for the construction of the tower on the general business zone property, the city has gone through the correct and proper procedure. As the city ordinance requires, we sent out letters to inform and request input from the property owners within 200 feet of the construction site. We set a planning and zoning commission public hearing and a meeting to review the specific use permit application. We have received their recommendation. Now, we are conducting the council's business to consider the application for a specific use permit, consider the recommendation from the P&Z, consider the presentation of the Sky Tower and AT&T representatives involved, and consider the citizen input. We have all the written comments, we've had the petition, we have all of that before us. And lastly, and always, we want to consider the very best interest of Poth and those most directly influenced. So that is our purpose. We've got to do it right. Okay. So we want to open the floor up. Let's start with questions directed towards the Sky Tower and AT&T folks. And I'd like it to be very orderly. If you have a question, you can raise your hand and ask it. If we have very many, we will need to use the podium. Okay? Yes, Tammy.
So there's been a lot of talk about buzzards. Do y'all have a plan for that?
Let me ask Scott Bahuniak to address that. Scott is the president and COO. This built, come on up, Scott. Introduce yourself. It's built towers across the country, towers higher than this. And Scott, if you can address that for the councilwoman.
So Scott Bahuniak, do I need my address?
Yes.
1915 Westview Drive, Tampa, Florida. We've got, in the last 15 years, we've built 698 towers. Had one up in, not Pearsall, but it's up in northeast Texas that we wound up having a buzzard enclave show up at. There's really only one way to deal with that, and it's basically to hang a dead buzzard up there and they all leave. It's ironic, but the dead buzzard gets rid of the other buzzards. But really, building a tower doesn't mean you're going to wind up with buzzards. There's other deterrent systems, but really the best way to do it is just hang a dead buzzard up there. So.
Can I ask Mr. Scott a question?
Okay.
The tower in Kingsville that was on Chris News down in Corpus Christi last week, is that an AT&T tower in Kingsville over there?
I don't have any idea.
Okay, I don't know if anybody pulled up, there's an article from Chris News in Corpus Christi, how this affected those people so bad down there. It was on their news channel down there. So, Joe, you can go and look at it and see. And about the buzzards and environmental impact and all this stuff out there with the diseases they're finding with the fecal samples. It's amazing.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It was just on Chris News in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I'll be glad to look at it. I've only ever had one that's had a buzzard problem.
Yes?
Just so you're aware, you're the tower builder, Scott, correct?
Yes, correct.
Stone's throw from this area, there's a committee of buzzards living in that area. I had a lady in this room actually did research, and you know why they flock to cell phone towers. They are soothed by the RF signal. So I'm an old dairy farmer. I'm all about hanging a snake upside down on a fence to get rain. Do you know that turkey buzzards or turkey vultures are a protected species and you cannot kill them?
Right.
Okay, so do you know that turkey buzzards do not eat their own? So where would you find one? I mean, I've never seen a dead turkey buzzard except for in my windshield that we had to go to the insurance agency and they totaled out our vehicle. Yes, you have.
You can get a permit for just about anything.
Yes, but they're banning that now.
Yeah, but not every tower's got buzzards on it. So, I'm just saying.
I understand. We're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to the environmental groups and get somebody that will issue you a permit if you have a problem with buzzards. You can do that. You've done that in the past and it's been successful. There's other anti-bird things that you talk about, devices that Scott has employed on there as well. But they will issue a kill permit.
They have actually started ceasing and desisting issuing kill permits because they are becoming on the endangered species act.
So they've always been endangered.
Yes, but they are not issuing those as frequently as they used to. Sound devices, light devices, water devices, bird devices, those birds are brilliant. They're a brilliant species. They will sit there and figure it out and watch things. There's a tower up the road, they actually watch and they learn how to climb the steps. They actually watch and know when the elevator's coming down and the door's open, and they get in and go up the tower and get out.
Okay,
They're
is there any other questions?